Hello everyone, I'm gonna try to get this to balance. I need to get like a tripod for like a phone. Yeah, that's too low. I think there's good. Alright, I'm bringing out the Star Wars hat. My friend Jack likes to make fun of me for this, but this is a Star Wars video. So in today's stream, I'm gonna be talking about The Mandalorian, mostly Season 2, and mostly the episode that just came out. I watched it at 2 a.m. I usually stay up for when they drop because I don't have school or anything, so I can kind of just wait for them. But yeah, Mandalorian Season 2. I guess I'll start very quickly by giving my thoughts on the first season since I actually never reviewed that. I was in Europe when the first season finished, so that's probably why I didn't really get to make a video. I got back like mid-January or, well, kind of like between early and mid-January, and I just never talked about it. But yeah, the first season of Mandalorian, I'll be honest, I was not the biggest fan of it. I liked it, but for me, there was just a lot of kind of side quests and filler. I didn't really think there was much of an overall story, and that was kind of like my biggest issue with that first season. Obviously, like the episodes that could be considered filler still have important things in them. Like they're usually introducing characters that will be important later on. So, for example, Cara Dune was introduced. But for the most part, when I look at season one, the episodes that really feel like filler, the ones that don't feel like filler, are the first episode and then probably episode 6 and 7, right? Like everything, or 6, 7, and 8, everything in between, or not even 6, I guess just 7 and 8. So yeah, like everything in between was kind of just filler. And season 2 has been the opposite. Season 2 has obviously had some filler, but even the filler episodes of this season, like I said, I still feel like they're important. Episode 2 was definitely more so filler that probably wasn't overall important, but I still liked episode 2. But yeah, no, so far I've been loving this season. I've been enjoying it a lot more than I enjoyed the first one. So I guess just as like a rating, if the first season for me was around like a 7.5 out of 10, this one is probably a 9 so far. I've just been enjoying it a lot more. Really like what they've been doing with the characters. The show looks great. The first season looked great as well, but it's interesting when you compare the two. The first season, it had some very like not generic, but just like simple planets. There was a lot of sand planets. There was, I think, like one kind of forest type planet, and this season has really stepped up its game from that standpoint. I mean, episode 2 of this season, we had this really cool ice planet, which was actually supposed to be the same planet from the first episode of season 1, but it was a different area of it that looked kind of unique, and it reminded me of Ilum, which is like the planet where the Jedi get all their saber crystals from. But yeah, I thought or kyber crystals, I should say. But I thought that was a really cool like visual, that episode. And then there was episode 3, which kind of had like this cool watery type planet. I don't know if it was supposed to be Mon Calamari, but it was just kind of a cool planet from that design. And then 4, there's like all the rocks and the lava and stuff. I don't know. It's the problem I had with the sequels was that they just didn't. One of the problems I had was that they didn't really have any interesting planets. I liked Crate, and that was kind of it. Or Arc 2 was kind of decent because there was an interesting area, but this season, in my opinion, has been so good for giving us really unique planets. Like the shirt. Thank you. Yes, my Star Wars hat, and then my, this is my Happy Face shirt, which is just Vader because it's like a joke. But yeah, no, I've been enjoying season 2 a lot more. So very quickly, the first episode, I'm gonna kind of go over the episodes very quickly. First episode of this season was the Marshal, and it introduced us to the character of the Marshal, or Cobb Vanth, who I really liked. I think he was a great character, and I really look forward to seeing how Luke is the Mandalorian. Do you mean how good? Well, like I said, I think the first season was good, but it had a lot of filler, and I didn't really love it. And I've been enjoying this season a lot more. But Cobb Vanth, really liked him as a character. Like, he just felt like this really cool Western badass, and I liked seeing that in Star Wars. There was definitely some Iron Man callbacks in that episode because it was a Jon Favreau directed one, but, like, for example, when he blows up the raiders or whatever that were trying to, like, leave the town, that reminded me so much of Iron Man when he blew up the tank. And I read people on, like, I read afterwards online, people were saying that, but, like, that was just something that just, like, immediately during that episode, I was like, oh, that's such a Iron Man callback. But, really cool episode. I like how they switched to the IMAX ratio, when they were fighting the giant crate dragon, which was a really cool thing, because we've heard the crate dragon before. Like, Obi-Wan mimics a crate dragon to scare away the Tusken Raiders in A New Hope, so it's kind of cool seeing what one looks like in Star Wars, just this big, massive beast. And yeah, I really like that episode. Obviously, we get to see the Mandalorian armor, and then Mando gets it back at the end of the episode, and it ends with Boba Fett, on Tatooine, kind of looking out over the ridge. and that was kind of like the big reveal for that episode. And that was one of the things I was worried about going into this season. Was before this season came out, they announced so many characters. They announced that Boba Fett was going to be in it. They announced Ahsoka Tano was going to be in it. Um, just a ton of characters were being announced, and I wasn't really at Bo-Katan. I wasn't a fan of that because one of the things that I did like about the Mandalorian from the first season was it was smaller scale in the sense that like it wasn't about saving the galaxy and all this kind of stuff, but it also just didn't have a bunch of characters we knew in it, right? It was all like new stuff, and it kind of just made the universe seem bigger because Star Wars has so many planets that they just introduce and stuff that the galaxy is just massive. And so whenever it's like resorting back to the exact same characters, it always just kind of shrinks the feeling of the series. And that's one of the things that I really liked about the first season of Mandalorian. So when season 2 was announced that it was going to have all of these characters from the Clone Wars and stuff, coming into the series, I was kind of against that. I was like, oh, well, now it's just going to feel smaller again. But I actually haven't had that feeling. I think they've done a good job at making it feel balanced, right? Because I think the filler episodes kind of do help in a way, because the filler episodes, they are usually like new planets and new characters and stuff, so it kind of helps that feeling of like, the show being so contained in the Star Wars universe. But yeah, like we got episode 1, we saw Boba Fett, who was just there for like 5 seconds, so there's not really much to say. Episode 3, we obviously got Bo-Katan with like some of the other Mandalorians, and that's probably my favorite episode of this season so far. I think episode 3 was great. I just loved that, like, that whole heist they had on that starship. I don't remember which type it was, but the Imperial starship. I thought that was really great. Obviously, we got to see Moff Gideon, and I don't know. They're really hyping up Moff Gideon. Like, they're really setting him up to be this really big character, and I like that a lot. Like, I like the setup that they are having right now for this season for his character. Because I really liked him in season 1, even though we had him very briefly. I think he was a really cool character. He looks badass, and so I'm really excited to see where they're going to be going with that in season 2 and in the future. Obviously now, because we know he has the Darksaber, we know that Sabine Wren is kind of after him. Not Sabine Wren, I always mix up Sabine Wren and Bo-Katan. We know that Bo-Katan's after him to get the Darksaber. And yeah, anyways, let's talk about last night's episode, or today's episode, I guess, the one that everybody is talking about. Episode 5, The Jedi. Best character entrance in Star Wars in a long time. I absolutely loved this episode. I thought Ahsoka, like, just the opening, because I was expecting Ahsoka to appear like halfway through the episode maybe, but having it just start off with her was kind of a surprise. And she's just like, kind of stealthily taking out all these guys, turning her lightsabers on and off so that she's like kind of lost in the mist and in the fog. It was a great episode. Like, I loved the episode. Visually, I thought it was great. It had like really interesting visual styles, because you have that one part where Mando's taking on the one guy, and it's set up to be like a western, right? Because it's about a lot of shots of like them kind of reaching for their weapons and stuff, and then you cut to Ahsoka and the lady who kind of ran that whole area, and the cinematography there was totally like a samurai movie, because you have the really wide shot of these two characters standing on this very flat surface, and then like the background, it's all perfectly lit. Like, I love seeing that kind of comparison, because that's honestly how I've always thought about Star Wars. You have, kind of like the gunslingers, like the Western type style, when you have like characters like Han Solo and that kind of stuff. And then on the opposite side of things, you have the Jedi, who are very much so like spiritual, and the way that like the combat is handled sometimes is very samurai-like, with very wide shots. That's one thing that Last Jedi did very well when Luke and Kylo took on each other, was they had those really wide shots. So I love kind of seeing that incorporated here. The fight was very heavily like drama filled. Like, it didn't start off as like this super exciting over the top fight. It was basically just both characters kind of playing defense, and I liked that. And then obviously things pick up a bit. But yeah, let's talk about Ahsoka Tano. I think she looks great. I think they did a very good job at making her, because I was kind of worried about how she was gonna look, and I think they really nailed the look. I thought Rosario Dawson did a really good job. She reminded me a lot of Ahsoka from the Clone Wars if she had just matured. Now, I'm not somebody who's actually really watched Rebels. I've watched the first season and a little bit of season 2. I much prefer the Clone Wars. I know that Rebels does get better as it goes on, so I think I will eventually return to it to give it another chance, but, so I can't really speak on my thoughts on that series as a whole. But, yeah, no, this episode, I also like the planet it was on. Visually, it was kind of cool. It was like this, you had like the kind of like the green skyline, and all these just like, destroyed trees and stuff. I don't know, it felt unique, and that's something that Star Wars has not felt in a while for me. is unique. I just felt like, Star Wars just felt so cookie cutter for the last few years. And I like Force Awakens and Last Jedi. I really, really like them. I think Episode 8 went in some really interesting directions that Episode 9 just threw down the toilet. And Episode 9, you know, there were some cool planets in that movie, I suppose. Like, I thought Exegol was kind of cool, but, yeah, I don't know. It's just, one thing that a lot of people say is, oh, does it feel like Star Wars when they're talking about certain things? To me, like, all I really want is Star Wars to feel unique. I don't care if the visual style and everything reminds me 100% of the original trilogy, because I'll be honest, like, Mandalorian doesn't really remind me all that much of the original trilogy, like a lot of people say. There's some character stuff that does, but I don't watch The Mandalorian and feel like, oh yeah, this feels like Star Wars because it's replicating what the originals did. If anything has replicated what the originals did, it was Force Awakens, and a lot of people don't like The Force Awakens, and they complain about it for doing that. Um, Visually, I would say Force Awakens feels the most Star Wars out of any of the new Star Wars stuff. Rogue One was, like, story wise, was heavily Star Wars. I don't know. I'm not gonna dive too much into that, but big reveals we had this episode besides Ahsoka's return. We obviously find out that Thrawn is gonna be introduced into live action, which was a really cool moment where she's like, "Where's your?" Because she keeps on saying, like, to that one lady, keeps on saying, like, "Where's your leader or your boss or whatever," and then she finally says, "Where's Thrawn?" And that was a pretty oh shit moment for me. Like, again, I haven't watched all of Rebels, and I don't even think I've been introduced to Thrawn in Rebels, but I know the character and I know everything. Like, I know about him and just how powerful he is as this, like, imperial mastermind. So, the fact that we're probably going to be getting Thrawn in live action, we most likely will be. To me, that's great. Like, that was a really big moment. And then obviously at the end of the episode, Ahsoka reveals, like, I can't take care of the child, and she basically sends Mando on his way. But she says, if you go to this certain planet, I don't remember the name of it. There's like a big Jedi temple. If you go there and you place, the child on the top of it, he will reach out using the Force, and if there are any Jedis still around, they might hear that and go to that call. And oh yeah, we also find out Baby Yoda's real name is Grogu, or Groga, yeah, Groga, or was it? I think it might be Grogu. Now I don't remember if it's Grogu or Groga now. I think it's Groga. Anyways, we find out Baby Yoda's name. I guess I used to call it the child. I don't know. The name has switched like 3 times. Now we have a definitive name. I think people are still gonna stick to calling it Baby Yoda. But yeah, we find out the child's name. And I think one of my favorite parts of this episode, personally, it was when Ahsoka and Baby Yoda were. See, I just resorted back to Baby Yoda. When Ahsoka and Groga or whatever, they were sitting at this fire and they were kind of just discussing. Or I shouldn't say, because Groga wasn't really saying anything, but Ahsoka was discussing with the Mandalorian, like, basically, that she once knew, another, like, person in the species, and she was referring to Yoda, and then she says Yoda's name, and then you hear, like, Yoda's theme for, like, 3 seconds, like, you just hear, like, the do, and that really got me, because I love Yoda's theme. I feel like that's, like, one of the most Star Warsy themes out there. Like, whenever I hear it, it just really hits home. So that was a great moment. I really liked that. And I liked all those scenes with those characters, right? I like that, obviously it was kind of already apparent, but I like, just how the child has such an attachment to, the Mandalorian, and then just hearing, like, it's like his father figure pretty much. I don't know, all that stuff I really liked. Also, I didn't even really think about this, because Baby Yoda, they said that, see, okay, I might say Baby Yoda in this video, who cares? They said before that, the character is supposed to be, like, 50-something. I think they said that in, like, the second or third episode. It might have been the third, I think. And so, yeah, it never really, like, clicked in my mind. I was like, yeah, I guess the child would have been around during the Clone Wars. I never really thought about that. Oh, you still haven't watched them, okay. Okay, well, now you're gonna be finding out a lot of spoilers from this video, Tyron, but, yeah, like, that just really, that whole idea really hit with me. I guess another thing that this season kind of set up with episode 4 was when they were doing that whole Imperial thing where it was, like, the Imperial station and they were destroying it and stuff. We find out, they discover, like, all these Bacta tanks or, like, tubes and whatever that have, like, kind of clones in them, but not clones like prequel clones. It looked kind of like Snoke, and they were saying that they were using Baby Yoda's because they found a video hologram, and they were using the child's blood for that because of the metachlorians, which they didn't even want to say the word. They just said M count. But I mean, I've heard theories. Some people think it's Snoke, some people think it's Palpatine, some people think it's just basically super troopers, like, really they're trying to like harvest the Force and stuff and put it into like troopers. I don't know. I think it really felt like Snoke, visually, because they're taking the blood from the child. They're using the they're using Baby Yoda's blood because it has so much metachlorian count in it. They're using that, and basically to create Snoke is at least what I got from the episode. Obviously, like, it could be something else, but let's just say it was to create Snoke. That was a really interesting concept. And they also, even when you see the tubes and you see the tanks, the music has that very Snoke, Palpatine kind of sound to it. It's like this very dark, sinister, orchestral type, or not orchestral, opera. That's what I'm gonna say. I don't know. I don't know what the right word would be, but right, you hear like the little like oh kind of thing. um, and yeah, no, I thought that was really interesting. I was like, okay, so this could be tying into the sequels, and I like it. Like season two, I wouldn't quite say it feels like it's rushing into a lot of things because it's really just introducing these concepts. Um, I I think this season really, what they should do at this point is just, I'm hoping there's no more filler for the rest of the season. First of all, there's 3 more episodes. I'm kind of hoping it's just gonna be the story at this point. Obviously the episode ended off where Ahsoka, was saying bring Groga or whatever to this Jedi temple, not Coruscant, different planet, but she said bring it to this place, put him on top. So there's obviously gonna be some kind of Jedi that's gonna be introduced in this season as well. If I had to make my prediction right now, I feel like it's probably going to be Ezra from Rebels, just because Ahsoka mentioned Thrawn being a thing. I feel like it'll probably be Ezra because they were literally both in the exact same room when they died. So I feel like it's gonna be Ezra that could be the character, and I don't love that. It just kind of makes sense with the direction the show's been going. It's been putting so many Rebels and Clone Wars stuff in it that it probably will end up being Ezra. I think it would be cool. Some people have said Luke. I don't really want that. I mean, it'd be cool to see Luke, but I don't want them to recast because this takes place 6 years after the Return of the Jedi. The sequels take place 30 years after Return of the Jedi, so I don't want them to recast Luke with somebody younger. I mean, if they could like nail the de-aging, then sure, but like it's only 6 years after the Return of the Jedi, right? He's not gonna look drastically older, so especially on a TV show budget, I don't see them doing a good job at doing that, right? Luke, I thought in the flashback scene in Rise of Skywalker looked really good, but there's no way they're gonna be able to complete. And also, that was under Dark Lightning, so I don't know. Like, I don't think it's Luke. I highly doubt it's Luke. I think it'd be cool if it was Cal Kestis, the guy from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, like the video game. I think that'd be kind of cool because you already have the actor. Like, you literally just get Cameron Monaghan. He played him in the game. It was literally modeled after his face. They look identical, so it's not like he just voiced him, and that was kind of it. Like, same face and everything, same hair. Now, obviously, there is a time gap between the two shows. I think Fallen Order takes place like 5 years into the Empire's reign. So, if this show is like, 20 years later, Cal would be like 38 or so or something like that. I don't know. They could age him up. Like, I don't know. It's probably gonna be Ezra, and that's fine. I was never really a fan of Ezra, but again, I also didn't completely watch the series, but I don't know. We'll see the direction it goes in. As of right now, though, I'm just really, really liking this season. I'm preferring it over season 1 by a lot. Because, yeah, for me, season 1 was just a lot of filler that didn't really go anywhere until, like, episode 7 or 8. It's not that I dislike the filler episodes. Like, there's some episodes that are filler that I like because I think they're really fun to watch. Like, I loved episode 6, the one where there was kind of like, I think it was called The Prisoner, where they had to go on this starship, and there was, like, this group of characters that were kind of, like, all criminals. I really liked that episode, but, it's just that in the grand scheme of things, story-wise, they don't really amount to much, and that was kind of always my issue. Season 2 so far has done a really good job at kind of each episode, even if it is slightly filler, at making it feel like it is doing something important. Like episode 4 for sure, because of that whole clone thing. We also got some more Moff Gideon. Episode 2 really didn't introduce much, but I actually liked episode 2. I know that's a lot of people's least favorite episode of this season so far. Was the one where they're stuck on that little ice area. There's the frog lady, and then there was all the spiders and stuff. I kind of liked the episode, to be honest, quite a bit. My only real issue, it's kind of a weird issue, but the whole joke with Baby Yoda eating all of the eggs, I think it got kind of old after a little bit because like the first time I was like, oh, okay, that's funny, but when he kept on doing it, I was kind of like, this is supposed to be like this person's family line, and it's like they're just basically the joke is just, oh yes, he's eating her babies, and it happened like 5 times probably, and I thought it was kind of stupid after a while, but I don't know. I don't really have much else to say about the show right now. I'm really enjoying it. I think, like I said, visually this season is great. Like it's a huge step up from season one because season one obviously they didn't have as big of a budget, so they couldn't have as many extravagant locations. And I think season two so far has just had way more like visually stunning planets. Really liked the one in the newest episode. I think my favorite is probably the one that was in episode four, which was that was a returning planet from like the first season, but I really like the way they showcased it. They had that big Imperial base on kind of like on the rock side, and then there's like all the asphalt and there's like the lava and whatnot, and there was the speeder bike chase with the TIE fighters and stuff. That felt really cool. It reminded me a lot of Sullust from Star Wars Battlefront. But and yeah, loved it. Can't wait for next episode. If I had to make a guess, I feel like next episode honestly might be filler. I think there's a decent chance that next episode will be that way. And oh well. I'm kind of hoping, like, just because we're going to be on episode 6, and I think there's only 8 episodes, kind of hoping they just, like, would you like to see the original? I already discussed that in the video. I said no. I don't want to see, like, Luke or Leia, because they'd have to de-age. Carrie Fisher's dead, and even if she was alive, they can't de-age her in a TV show by, like, 30 years to make her look like she did in Return of the Jedi. And I don't want them to recast because there'd be no impact if it was like, here's Luke and it's Sebastian Stan, which I know a lot of people say he looks like Luke. Like there'd literally be zero impact. I would just be like, oh, great. I would much rather just either do new characters or smaller characters. Like the biggest character this show has introduced so far is obviously Ahsoka, and I think that's as big as they should go. Obviously, they're gonna bring in Thrawn, which I'm okay with, but I don't want to see a bunch of like really big characters in the show, because like I said, that'll just make the show feel smaller if they just bring in so many big characters. It's like, okay, so I guess this Star Wars just can't have any original content. Um, yeah, I don't know. If I had to make a guess, okay, maybe there is a chance there will be no more filler this season. Just because there's 3 episodes left, and I feel like they've been setting up Moff Gideon so much. I think there has to be some kind of thing, because you know what I forgot? There's a tracking implant on the ship. I forgot that there's a tracking implant on on Mando's ship. So technically, if they tracked him, they could track him to the planet where he and Ahsoka met. So Ahsoka will probably get. I've heard theories that they're gonna kill off Ahsoka, and it's like her bloodstream will be what creates Snoke. I kind of heard that theory. If that was Snoke in those tubes, unless it was just like something else. Because yeah, with that character with his name is escaping my mind, with Moff Gideon at the end of the 4th episode, there's that scene where he's kind of like in the room and there's a bunch of like, I thought it was just his death troopers at first, but the closer I looked at it, I realized that it was like a bunch of troopers. Okay, Tyron, have you been watching this video? Because I talked about Baby Yoda already multiple times. I discussed that, like, well, I mean, obviously, because you haven't even watched season 1 or 2 yet, so I can't really say anything. Well, I mean, I'm not going to try to avoid spoilers. This video is going to have spoilers. But Baby Yoda, I guess, is now called Groga, is their actual name, or Groga. Or Grogu, something like that. Yeah, I like them. Like I liked the idea of it from a story standpoint. I think they're cute and there's some good humor with them. I think sometimes the show can get a little bit repetitive, the humor, but yeah. That does bring me up to another point. I don't love the humor in the show. There's some humor that I really like I think mostly when it's just interactions between Grogu and Mandalorian. I like those scenes. But the humor I don't like, there's this one blue character who was in the first episode of season 1. He returns, I think his name's like Mithril or something like that. I don't remember his name. He returned in episode 4. he really annoys me. Like, I don't find his humor funny. I think he's kind of annoying. I also like Cara Dune, that character. I don't think the actress Gina whatever. I don't. She's not very good as an actress. Um, like I don't know. She's not very good at acting. I think like okay, the characters I like in this show. I obviously really like the main character. I really like Mandalorian. His name has escaped my mind by the way. His actual name has escaped my mind, but I really like him. I like Cobb Vanth a lot. Cobb Vanth, really cool idea for a character. Hoping he returns in this season. I think he probably will. But I really like him. And yeah, I like Carl Weathers' character. Some of the characters' names have just escaped my mind. I mean, I don't know. I'm not like this massive Mandalorian fan. I love Star Wars, but I don't know everything there is to know about Mandalorian, like character-wise and stuff off the top of my head. But I like his character. I like Moff Gideon, who I'm hoping we see more of because right now it's like he's just always like a tease. Like we get to see him for like a little bit, and it's like, oh, he's gonna be making a comeback, and then you don't see him for like a couple more episodes. So I think the ending of this season, if I had to predict how the rest of the season will play out, here's my predictions now. I think next episode, I think episode 6, I'm gonna say there's gonna be no more filler. I think the rest of this season will be, um, you know, like an actual show, or not an actual show, but just like like kind of more so just story stuff and not like as much side quests and stuff. I think next episode, I don't know. I don't quite see them heading to the Jedi Temple yet. I feel like that's something that might save for like the last episode or episode 7 maybe. Um, I'm thinking the next episode, Mandalorian's gonna be on his little merry way to head towards the planet for the whole Baby Yoda thing, and then out of nowhere, Imperials are gonna show up and attack him because there's obviously the tracking beacon on him. So I think that'll come out of nowhere because they're gonna try to get Baby Yoda back. Um, I don't think Baby Yoda will get kidnapped because that would be kind of too much. Because then they have to like detract the story, go in that direction, and then bring Baby Yoda back at the end of the season to like do that whole thing at the end. So I don't know the direction they're gonna go in that sense. I feel like the Imperials will show up though. Obviously, the end of episode 4, Moff Gideon had all of those like all those guys in the room at the end, which I think are supposed to be like Sentinel droids or something. I don't think they're actual people. I think those are just basically droids, like Imperial droids. Um, I don't know. It's interesting. I like in my mind. I have a feeling that like episode 8. I feel like episode 7 they might do the whole Baby Yoda reaches out or Grogu. I keep on resorting to Yoda because it's not Yoda. Like the character's not Yoda. The show takes place 6 years after Return of the Jedi, so 6 years after Yoda bites the dust and dies. Um, but I feel like they reach out with the only thing with the episode that didn't make much sense to me was how Ahsoka can go toe to toe with Vader and Maul, but this random chick was able to knock a saber out of her hand. I'm back. Did you miss me, Emil Johnson? I don't know. I think it maybe I don't know. The thing with the fight, one way I guess I could look at it is when's the last time Ahsoka was in a fight, right? Because you look at the yeah, I know who you are, Emil. The way I look at it, when you look at the fight that they had like in this episode, when's the last time that they actually had a fight, like that she had a fight like Ahsoka? Because in Rebels that takes place at least 20 years before this episode did. Or no, yeah, it'd be more because if it's been no, not 20 years. She probably hasn't been in a fight like that in like 10 years. Also, her goal was to not kill the person. She was trying to get information, so I don't know. How is this possible? Where the fuck do you guys come from? Like, there's randomly like 4 of you out of nowhere. It's confusing to me. Anyways, yeah, that's kind of why that's how I think the fight went down. If I had to make a guess, like I think it's because she's trying to get info and she hasn't probably had a genuine face-to-face fight in like a while. And I don't really care, to be honest. It's a minor thing. She was like Batman when taking it all those. Yeah, I liked that. I liked when she was stealthily taking down. But the thing with her stealthily taking down all those guys is those are like generic troopers, right? And she's taking them down stealthily, right? Like she can run around, lightsabers off, kind of in the shadows. They don't really pose much of a threat. Whereas when she's fighting the lady like face to face, I don't know. Like it could be a minor thing. I don't really care that much though. Like I thought it was well handled. The fight I thought was really cool. I also liked the show off the between Mandalorian and the other guy. Your mom, your mom, your mom, your mom. Yes, but yeah, I don't know. Her outfit, yeah, I thought she looked really cool as well. Like I said, it felt like a samurai show off when her and the one lady fought because they both like they took off like the cloaks they had around them or whatever, which felt very much so like a lot of it reminds me a ton of the Last Jedi fight, when Kylo and Luke were facing off against each other because you had the exact same type of shot, which is very reminiscent of like 50 samurai movies where it's very very big wide angle. You have the two characters kind of like directly across from each other, very flat surface. You have the sky in the background. Cinematography wise, visually, really well shot. Like I think this show has some pretty great cinematography. Um, really like a lot of the establishing shots are great as well in the series. Like when they first showed that castle or whatever in this episode, I really like the way they showed it off. Again, it was like kind of like I think it was from Ahsoka's perspective maybe, but it was just like this very big wide shot, kind of looking up. Oh, it's all mighty and powerful and stuff. Um, but yeah, it was really cool stuff. I feel like you guys are bots or something. I don't know. This is well, no, like it's very confusing. I don't know. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say. Um, about the season so far. I've really been really liking it. It's kind of the problem with these streams sometimes. They just go on for very long without really any clear. And then I get people like this that join and it gets weird. But yeah, I hope she is in another episode. That's the one thing I kind of felt with the end of this episode. I have a feeling this is her only appearance in this season. I don't see her like returning for another episode this season unless she shows up at the end to like help them out or something. I kind of feel like this episode was not really like a backdoor pilot, but in the sense where it's like they're kind of introducing her, and I think they're probably going to be saving her for Soy Boy Luke to come in. I don't think Luke will like return. I don't see them doing Luke just because they'd have to de-age, which I don't think would look very good, or they would have to, recast, which I think would just annoy people. Same with Boba. There was so much hype for him, but he was in it for like 3 seconds, and I doubt he'll show up again. Yeah, that's really true. Like, I think honestly, in terms of this season, I think there's a better chance Ahsoka will turn up than Boba Fett. I don't really like unless they bring in Boba Fett. I don't know. That's the thing that's kind of confusing with this season. I feel like this season has introduced a lot of characters and concepts, and so I don't know, the direction it's gonna go in. Oh fuck, man. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like, I don't know. I do not know. Best episode of the season so far, though. This was probably the best episode. I think my favorite. Just yeah, this probably is my favorite actually. At the beginning of this stream, I said it was probably. What besides my intestinal tract? I don't entirely know. Isn't the size of your intestinal tract, if you actually took it all the way out, isn't it supposed to be like the size of a tennis field or something like that? Not field, tennis court. Isn't Ahsoka supposed to get her own show as well? I think so. I think her and Bo-Katan are supposed to have a spinoff. I don't know entirely what what they're doing. I know Bo-Katan's supposed to get her own spinoff. Also, are they supposed to be introducing Rex and Sabine Wren this season? That's gonna be too much. I don't want them to do that much stuff. I think it'll get too crazy with characters. But I feel like honestly after season 2, I think we kind of have a clear direction of the story of the show now, right? They're gonna try to get it's like somebody to train Grogu or Groga, whatever. I, the child. I don't know. Like I don't remember what the exact name was. It's either Groga or Grogu. They're gonna get a trainer, like find somebody through the Force. Probably gonna be Ezra, is my guess. I'd prefer it to be Cal Kestis from like Fallen Order, because we don't know what happened to his character. But it's probably gonna be Ezra just because at the end of the season, at the end of the episode where they mentioned Thrawn, and since those two were together when they both left the series. So it's probably gonna be Ezra, which, I don't really. I never really liked Ezra, so. But no, I think the show is really getting into its core now. I think this is kind of where we're gonna see less and less filler occurring. I think season 3 is gonna be a lot of hopefully story and stuff, because I feel like, man, fuck, why am I yawning so much? I feel like the story is kind of just like kind of set up now. I'm hoping some badass shit goes down in the next few episodes. Yeah, Maul's dead. Moff Gideon's probably answering to Thrawn. No, I guarantee you that's who he's answering to. Thrawn is probably the main leader. Moff Gideon's kind of like the second in command, and then they're probably trying to create Snoke, is my guess. Just because that whole thing with the tanks at the end of the one episode, I feel like that was a Snoke setup. Or they could be duping us. They want us to think it's Snoke because of the music and stuff, and it's actually just like some kind of like super trooper they're building. But I think it's Snoke. Which I'm cool with. Like, obviously Snoke didn't really amount to much in the films because of what Episode 9 decided to... Well, I don't know. I'm not going to dive into the sequel right now. But, yeah. I don't know. I'm going to go on my PlayStation for a little bit. But I'll still be reading comments and answering questions and stuff. I need to finish... I'm trying to finish off this game. It's very difficult, though. Because I've never really played a Souls game before that. I tried out Bloodborne. Never got into that game. Like, pretty much played, like, 2 hours of it. Which PS5 game is your favorite thus far? Okay, well, as far as what I own, I don't have all of them, because I prefer disc, honestly, over digital. I've just always been that way as far as collecting things. Okay, so these are the games I've picked up. I picked up Demon's Souls, Sackboy, Vague Adventure, Call of Duty Cold War, and I also got, what do you call it, Miles Morales. Of those games, I've beat Miles Morales, I've beat Cold War's campaign, and I've played enough of multiplayer and zombies to get a gist of it. Sackboy, I've played a very little bit, and Demon's Souls, I think I've played like 9 hours of Demon's Souls, but I've barely got into the game just because I find it so hard. I'm like, kind of completed like 3 worlds, basically, or 3 levels, if you want to call it that. I think Miles Morales I had the most fun with. I'm going to take my hat off for a little bit. Miles I had the most... Oh, my hair looks fucking terrible. I got out of the shower before I started this stream, and then I put on the... my hat's going to go back on. I don't know what the hell's up with my hair right now. But no, I think Demon's Souls is probably the best game that I've got right now on the PS5. Like, I really like it. It's just that it's really difficult, but I think it's great. Miles was a ton of fun. Very short, but a lot of fun. Cold War is, like, I'm not a huge Call of Duty person, but I actually really like Cold War. I thought the campaign was great. The multiplayer I've been having fun with. I think there's a lack of content in the multiplayer, but it's fun. Zombies I hate, I'll be honest. Like, Black Ops 2 and 3 have my favorite zombies, and yeah, zombies is not good in Cold War. I'm not a fan of it. And what else? Sackboy. Sackboy's fine. I don't really have much to say about it so far. Like, I like it. It's a little bit underwhelming, but yeah, those would be my thoughts. I don't want to go on Demon's Souls. That's the problem. I want to play Demon's Souls, but I'm always too afraid to go on it because I have to be like completely in the mood, which I rarely am. I did get the Crescent Falchion though, which is a very good weapon. Yeah, I don't want to go on Demon's Souls because like the problem with Demon's Souls, it's not really a game that you can like if you're playing Miles Morales and you're in the middle of a mission and you have to go, you can just pause the game and turn off your console, no biggie. When you're in Demon Souls, like, you can't do that, because then you have to restart the entire area, and it's a lot scarier. Fuck. Man, Jesus. So, I ain't going to, I'm gonna go on Marvel Spider-Man Remastered. I'm also gonna eat lunch soon, because I work at 6 tonight, I work 6 to 11, and I work 4 to 8 tomorrow. I've had it installed, but I haven't touched it yet. Yeah, I really like it. I think it's great. But again, I'm just afraid. Because what happened was, I got past this boss I was stuck on for a few days. Like, I'm gonna go upstairs. I'm gonna make lunch. I don't care. So I was stuck on this boss for a few days, and then I finally beat it, kind of by cheaping it out. I basically, because in Demon Souls, basically the way the game works is if you die at any point, you're then permanently stuck at half health until you kill a boss. Or if you're lucky, you can find this type of stone that resurrects you to full health. But I wouldn't say that's the best option. I feel like it's better to just make multiple attempts on a boss fight, because you don't want to waste your chance at full health until I think you know for sure that you're gonna defeat the boss. Pizza time. But yeah, I don't know. It's a terrifying game. I love it, but it's terrifying. Every time I set it up, I'm always like, this isn't gonna go well for me. And it rarely does. It rarely goes well. Combat's great. The game looks fantastic. Like, I think out of all the next-gen games, it's the most next-gen looking. Like, I think it has insane lighting. It doesn't even have ray tracing, so yeah. Alright. But yeah, Mandalorian. Loving it. Loving it, loving it. This stream has been going on for way too long. There we go. I haven't had an idea about what I'm talking about for the last, like, 20 minutes or so. But, I don't know, I might end the stream in a minute, guys. Overall, been really enjoying. Ooh. Make much of a difference. I think it's okay, gameplay-wise, I wouldn't feel like it helps you out. If anything, at first, it seems like it could be a disadvantage, just because you're having to press harder to aim. I don't really think... I think once you get used to it, it's not a disadvantage. I think you get used to it, and then you're fine. I would say, like, it feels great. Like, I'll say that much. Like, when you're shooting and the trigger goes up and down at the rate you're firing, that's awesome. Like, the way that you kind of have to pull a little bit harder to fire the bullet on any gun, but, like, let's say a pistol specifically, because it's usually just one shot, right? It's like you have to put the tension, and in real life, when you're pulling a trigger, there's a bit tension, and then eventually it just goes. And that's what the trigger does. It's tension, and then it goes in, and then the vibration of the controller from, like, the haptic feedback, it feels like... Okay, you're cooked enough. It feels like firing a gun, or it feels like a bullet's firing. And, I don't know, all those things together just help create a very awesome sensation. So does it like, help out gameplay-wise? No, it's about the same, but I don't know. Just if you're talking, like, immersion-wise, I think it's awesome. I think it's great. Hot. I need to let that cool for a bit. Anyways, I think I'm gonna end this stream here, guys. Thanks for joining, and I will see you all next time.